Hello everyone, welcome to Katharine's Creatures. This is episode 89, and this is a series where I get to touch base and talk a little bit about various mythological creatures, beast, beings, and the like, pulled from lore worldwide. And I always like to preface by saying that I am not a linguist, so if I mispronounce anything along the way, I apologize in advance. I do try my best. Now, with that said, we're going to be talking about the Grootslang today, also sometimes called the Grootslang, and this is based off of a Dutch word for big snake. Now, the Grootslang is a legendary creature that is told to live in this deep cave or cavernous area in a specific area of South Africa called Richtersveld, if I am pronouncing that correctly. But yes, it's a legendary creature, comes from a very niche area, and as most myth comes, there is a variety, some variation that occurs within the storylines, but they all pertain to a very large snake, a cave, and usually diamonds. So the Grootslang, in most of the tales, lives in a massive cave that has been given some terms or names called either the bottomless pit or referenced as the wonder hole. And it's supposed to be this very immensely deep pit where that can hide the massive serpent and the things that he guards, or it guards. The one legend says this mysterious cave, if you can find it, connects to the sea, which would be about 64 kilometers away, which is 40-ish miles. So a very, very long, extensive cavern system. And in there, deep down in those caves, exist diamonds of all sorts. Now, another story says instead of the sea, it actually connects to the Orange River. And through this kind of tunnel system, it actually serves kind of like a funnel, and all the diamonds kind of funnel out and into the river system from the cavern where Grootslang lives. A third variation claims that the Grootslang lives under a specific cataract, the King George Cataract, located under, and I'm going to try to hopefully pronounce this correctly, the Augrabies Fall, and under this kind of cataract, so the swirling water is the layer, and if you go down into a hidden cavern under the cataracts, that is where the serpent is entwined, of course with the diamonds yet again, but also in this one, a mound, a hoard of gold and gemstones and other precious things. So again, very appealing for would-be adventurers and treasure seekers. So the Grootslang is supposed to predominantly hunt, I guess, cattle in the lore. So if you walk your cows too close to the rivers and then one or two or more disappeared, probably ended up being dinner for this giant massive snake. Now, how big am I talking about? The lore ranges between like 40 to 50 feet in length, and it is said to leave an indenture 3 feet wide. So it's pretty large serpent that hunts and lurks in this area of South Africa. And again, one legend even claims that, to describe even further, that its eye sockets are actually made out of diamonds themselves. So in a sense, it's part of the treasure that it protects. And some of the lore claims that this creature has been around for a long, long time, even to the point that it is older than the world itself. And its entire purpose is to protect the treasure for all eternity from any would-be, again, treasure seekers or people who want to lay claim to all the wealth that it guards. And one statement said that if you get close to it, there's in and around its presence, you get this overwhelming sense of evil. So, again, it's a very negative view of a very draconian kind of style creature from Africa, where you have the hoard of gold or wealth or jewels and this reptilian entity protecting it or guarding it for its own purposes, and people don't seem to like it, so they're going to villainize the creature. That's, for me, that's just my personal cup of tea. Now, that's not necessarily, obviously, the way the lore kind of views it, so in the lore, it's usually a negatively viewed creature. Now, in 1917, there was an English businessman. This really happened. English businessman, Peter Grayson, I think's his name. And what happened was he actually got killed by a lion. But everybody locally believed it was the Grootslang for the longest time. And so these stories of this massive evil snake lurking and hunting in and around this area became very, very common at the time. And people truly believed the Grootslang was a threat to humans. But obviously, later on, it was discovered that the man ended up being killed by a lion. Nothing to do with a giant snake, and there was no diamonds involved or anything. Now, one legend even mentions, and most times anybody who discovers a cavern, and enters it, never returns. One legend, there was a guy that succeeded in this. He was rappelling down with some kind of cable winch and was entering into the cavern with the hopes probably of finding the treasure at the bottom. And as he was rappelling further down, he started smelling more and more sulfur smell, which again, I think is fascinating because a lot of people associate sulfur smells with dragons and dragon-like creatures. So there you go. Maybe there is some kind of a tie. But as he's going down, he smells all this sulfur and he's looking around this darkened cavern with his flashlight and ends up shining the light in some bats. And the bats, of course, take off because they didn't like being light shined to their eyes. And with the bats flying around, and I think his light drops, he ends up going back to the surface and decides, it's not worth it, and never again goes down into the hollow. And of course, that is the closest anybody has ever gone to going down to the base of this cavern where Grootslang lurks and survive. So that's the story. If you have any questions about this creature or anything else, post them in the comments below or reach out to me on any of my social media. And until next time, everyone, Skull.